our Washington correspondent Chris Buckler what was in this article.
Well, our Europe regional editor Mike Sanders is here in the studio.
Let's speak to our China media analyst Kerry Allen from BBC Monitoring.
On air, online and on smartphone.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Joe Ivan, and we are live on 90.3 WESS, East Stroudsburg University, East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Thank you all for tuning in to The Weekly Cheese, the Pocono's #1 place for everything Green Bay Packer. Just as a reminder, everything you hear on The Weekly Cheese is my opinion, and nothing you hear reflects the views or opinions of 90.3 WESS and East Stroudsburg University. Now let's get into it.
We are Packer fans, proud and strong. Each of us standing tall, all as one. And we love the feeling of being number one. We are Packer fans, proud and strong. We are Packer fans, lose or win. Side by side, filled with pride through thick and thin. And we love the feeling of being number one. We are Packer fans, proud and strong. Green and gold, gifted and bold, our pride showing through all the way. By any test, we give our best to cheer our Packers on to victory. We are Packer fans, proud and strong. Each of us standing tall, all as one. And we love the feeling of being number one. We are Packer fans, proud and strong. We are Packer fans, lose or win. Side by side, filled with pride through thick and thin. And we love the feeling of being number one. We are Packer fans, proud and strong. We are Packer fans. And we love the feeling of being number one. We are Packer fans, proud and strong.
And oh my goodness. All right, I'm having major technical difficulties with the headset I got on right now. I could only hear myself in one ear, so I hope I'm coming across the airwaves way more clear than I am coming in my own ear. And I'll just try to ignore it while we get through this show. What you just heard there was We Are Packer Fans by Eddie J. Lemberger, the best Packer musician there is. And the Packers season is over. I mean, the NFC Championship game was this past weekend. And unfortunately, the Packers lost 31-26 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Lambeau Field. It is the fourth consecutive NFC Championship game defeat. And I think it's fair to say that we're all feeling many different emotions in the days following this game. Anger, frustration, our hearts are broken, confusion, concerned, lost, whatever feelings you have today, they're completely just. But I don't know about you all out there, but at this point, I sort of feel numb to all these feelings. I mean, we find ourselves experiencing them what feels like every single year. I mean, the Packers have been in the NFC Championship game 4 times in the last 6 years. In 2014, the Packers were clearly a better team than the Seahawks, and they had the game all but won, if not for the infamous Brennan Bostic incident. And in 16 and last year, the Packers were just clearly outmatched, and they ran into buzzsaws of teams in Atlanta and San Francisco. But coming into this NFC Championship game, everything just felt different. It felt like it was finally going to be the year where the Green Bay Packers reach the pinnacle of the NFL once again. However, it is not, and it was not. And yeah, let's just go over what happened in the game on Sunday. The Packers got out to a slow start in the game. They could not get off the field defensively. They allowed 3 third-down conversions on the first drive of the game, and the Buccaneers got out to an early 7-0 lead. The Packers were able to go on a drive of their own to start the second quarter, and they did tie up the game 7-7 with a huge 50-yard touchdown by Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He really did show up to play on Sunday. He had a monster performance and really just showed those strong hands that didn't consistently always show up this year. But yeah, he got a big 50-yard touchdown. The Packers were starting to gain some momentum, but that momentum was quickly taken back by Tampa Bay. They were able to convert another 3rd and long, and they responded with a touchdown of their own in just 4 plays on that very next drive. The Packers still continue to respond. They march down the field 15 plays, and nearly 8 minutes later, they were unable to get the ball in the end zone. They had a few uncharacteristic plays between Aaron and Davante Adams. Davante dropped a wide open touchdown in the end zone on a routine flat route that he catches 9.5 times out of 10. And 2 plays later on 3rd and goal, it was an incomplete pass at Davante Adams in the back of the end zone. And again, it was a catchable ball. He did end up catching it. He just couldn't get his feet in bounds, which is something we're not used to seeing from him. And they had to settle for the field goal. They made the score 14-10. And this would really be the first of 2 crucial failed trips to the red zone. And it was just upsetting because all season long, the Green Bay Packers have been so good when they get into the red zone. So for it to not to translate in the most important game of the season, it's just a bummer. The Packers defense would force a punt on the next drive by the Buccaneers, and Aaron Rodgers got the ball back. They were down 4 points, 2 minutes left in the first half. And the Packers were going to be getting the ball out of halftime. So a score on this next drive would really set them up to be in a situation to just seize control of the game and be in the driver's seat from the beginning of the second half on. But unfortunately, what happened next was actually the exact opposite. On the 5th play of that drive, with 34 seconds left to go in the half, Aaron Rodgers got picked off. He tried getting the ball to Allen Lazard, ended up getting picked off. Allen Lazard did seem to get grabbed on the play. The ref obviously didn't throw the flag, and the Buccaneers got possession in pretty decent field position on their 49-yard line, and with just 25 seconds left on the clock, Tom Brady was able to score a touchdown. Took him just 5 plays. But for some reason, with just 8 seconds left on the clock, Mike Pettin had the Green Bay Packers defense in press man coverage, and Kevin King got absolutely burned at the line by a guy named Scotty Miller, a guy who I've honestly never heard of in my entire life until Sunday. He was able to get behind the entire defense, which, due to the the lineup they were in and the formation. The entire defense consisted of just Kevin King, essentially. Scored a touchdown, a 39-yarder with 1 second left on the clock. And the Packers, who could have went into halftime with a lead, just fell down 11 points. They will go into halftime down 21-10. And out of nowhere, it just started to feel like a good old-fashioned NFC Championship game spanking for the Green Bay Packers. One, we've seen the last 2 attempts at it. And I could honestly say at halftime, my cousin and I were preparing ourselves for an ugly second half. And not to our surprise, the first drive out of halftime, which was crucial, the Packers needed to score points, especially after the complete momentum shift that occurred at the end of the first half. Coming up this scoreless on this first drive out of halftime basically just puts the Packers down 3 scores and puts the game out of reach. And on the third play of the second half, the unthinkable happened. Aaron Jones got injured, fumbled the ball, and the Buccaneers took over possession at the Packers' 8-yard line. They went up 18 points on the very next play, and within a blink of an eye, all hope was lost, and the Packers would need an absolute miracle to win. They could not afford one more mistake for the entirety of the game. And yeah, we were packing it in, saying good season to one another. It was upsetting, and we were just hoping that it didn't get completely out of hand like it did last year. But the Packers went on to respond relatively quickly. They strung together an 8-play drive. Every receiver on the offense got involved. Big Bub Tunyon scored the touchdown, and they moved to score back to 11 points, 28-17. With plenty of time to go in the game. It was just time for the defense to step up and make their mark on the game. And that is exactly what the Green Bay Packers defense did. They went on to pick Tom Brady off 3 times in a row. On Tom Brady's next 3 drives, the Green Bay Packers turned him over. Started with Adrian Amos. He made a phenomenal play, shading over the top on some help coverage on Mike Evans, helping out Jair Alexander, and he made an athletic play and picked the ball off on the Buccaneers' 38. And the Packers followed that up with a long 13-play drive. Devontae Adams got into the end zone. Unfortunately, Equanimeous St. Brown blatantly dropped the 2-point conversion, which would have cut the lead to just 3 points. But the Packers were able to cut the lead down to 5 heading into the fourth quarter. And all of a sudden, there was hope. And that hope quickly turned into extreme confidence. Jair Alexander picked Tom Brady off twice in a row. And after each interception, I could have sworn the Green Bay Packers were going to capitalize, go down the field, score a touchdown, and go up some points. But the Green Bay Packers offense was unable to do anything with the game-changing turnovers. Not one thing. They ran just 6 plays, threw the ball 6 times, and punted twice after Jair Alexander's 2 interceptions. And no bones about it, the best offense in the NFL just completely stalled. And the Buccaneers were able to reestablish an 8-point lead with just 4 minutes to go in the game. The Packers, on their next possession, drove down the field. They got into the red zone, and they found themselves facing a 1st and goal from the 8-yard line with 2 minutes and 22 seconds left to go in the game. And yet again, they failed to capitalize in the red zone, an area which they led the NFL in touchdown percentage all season long. The first playoff game against the Rams, they continued their dominance in the red zone, and unfortunately, for the second time in this game, when it was needed the most, the Green Bay Packers failed to convert when they got into the red zone. And obviously, what ended up happening next it's history. Matt LaFleur opted to take the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands and kick the field goal on 4th and goal. Tom Brady ended up getting the ball back with 2 minutes and 2 seconds on the clock, and thanks to the first defensive pass interference call of the entire game, he was able to convert the first downs he needed to, run the clock out, and the Packers lost by 5 points. This decision to kick the field goal on 4th and goal was a big one. When it initially happened, I was dumbfounded. Everyone watching was dumbfounded. Twitter just went on fire. LaFleur ended up trending. And everyone questioned the decision immediately. And it did turn out to be a huge play in the game. Some people are calling for his job. And in hindsight, yeah, it ultimately was the wrong move. I completely understand why it's being talked about the way it is in the media this week, and in the fashion it's being talked about over the past couple days. No, I don't believe Matt LaFleur's job should be in question. Yeah, there are big decisions to be made, but that obviously is not one of them. He's a young coach, and depending on how you look at it, that really wasn't the worst decision in the world. But I understand. I understand why the conversation is the way it is. And was this decision the actual reason the Packers lost? Does Matt LaFleur deserve the bulk of the blame for the outcome of this NFC Championship game? Or is it something else? Is it something else that maybe many people don't want to believe or are choosing not to even think about as a possibility? And find out what that is when we come back. It's the Weekly Cheese, 90.3 WESS, East Stroudsburg University, East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, and hopefully I'll be able to figure out this headphone situation, because it is kind of messing with me. I'm not going to lie. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. It's the Weekly Cheese.
I like my wife, she's okay. And for my kids, I'm thankful almost every day. I like my family, it's so dear to me. But I love the Green Bay Packers. I like my job, I like my friends. I like to drink a couple beers now and then. I like Wisconsin, it's the greatest state. But I love the Green Bay Packers. I love the green and gold in autumn sun and winter's cold. So let's all sing, young and old. We all love the green and gold. I like my life, it's been good. I like my neighbors, I like my neighborhood. And I like being here today with all of you. Like I said before, I like to raise a few. But there's just one thing that forever will be true. I love the Green Bay Packers. We love the green and gold in autumn sun and winter's cold. So let's all sing, young and old. We all love the green and gold.
line, Pack!
Tell all the people across the USA, I love my Green Bay Packers, who won the first Super Bowls ever played. I love my Green Bay Packers. Pity Chicago, Detroit, and Tampa Bay. Throw in the Vikings. They all come up as laggards. We take our opposition and crunch them like they're crackers. That's why I love my Green Bay Packers. Tell that Rush Limbaugh, tell Hillary and Bill. Oh, tell them what? I love my Green Bay Packers. Tell Willard Scott, tell Oprah and Phil. And Regis too. I love my Green Bay Packers. I'll bet even Ditka's a secret Packer fan. He ain't so dumb. He knows the best shellackers. So if you're green with envy, wear gold, they're perfect matchers. That's why I love my Green Bay Packers.
Hey man, this is Elvis, and I love my Green Bay Packers.
I love my Green Bay Packers.
Oh, I'm Miss Monroe, and I love my Green Bay Packers.
I love my Green Bay Packers. Don't take this wrong, but compared to old Green Bay, you're just a bunch of hackers. So if you're green with envy, wear gold, they're perfect matchers. That's why I love my Green Bay Packers. Yes, we take our opposition and crunch them like they're crackers. That's why I love my Green Bay Packers. We got the best team. Go Pack! Break it down. Oh, I just love my Green Bay Packers. I love my Green Bay Packers. They love me too.
And we're back. It's the Weekly Cheese, 90.3 WESS, East Stroudsburg University, East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. And those two songs you just heard there were I Love the Green and Gold by Pat McCurdy and I Love My Green Bay Packers by the great Eddie J. Lemberger. Yeah, the best in Packers music. So let's get into what went wrong for the Green Bay Packers on Sunday. A lot ended up going wrong. But was Matt LaFleur deserving of the bulk of the blame for the outcome of that game? Or was it something else? Obviously, the decision to kick the field goal was not one I would have made personally. I would have kept the ball in Aaron Rodgers' hands, the MVP, and worst case scenario, the Packers would have turned it over on downs, and they find themselves needing to make a stop anyway. Only this time, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be backed up on their own 8. And yeah, they won't be scoring to win if they make the stop, but they'll be in the same situation they just found themselves in on the 8-yard line, just needing a score and a 2-point conversion to tie the game up and send it to overtime. But that really is neither here nor there, because the truth of the matter is the Green Bay Packers defense was playing absolutely lights out the entirety of the second half. They turned Tom Brady over 3 times, and they did, in fact, get the stop they needed after kicking that field goal. During that final Tampa Bay drive on 3rd and 4, Kevin King was flagged for a defensive holding penalty, which gave the Bucs the first down and pretty much officially ended the game once and for all. Not only was Rashawn Gary blatantly held by Tristan Wirfs on that play, and yes, there is photo evidence of that surfacing around the internet, but that ball was not catchable, one, And Kevin King should not have been called for that hold. Yes, technically, what he did is considered pass interference. But the way the refs were allowing both teams to play physical all game long, and the fact that Tampa Bay was able to get rid of a handful of, get away with a handful of holds themselves throughout the entire game, two of which occurred on Allen Lazard. One ended up getting intercepted, and the second one the Packers had to punt after. Just based on the way the game was being officiated the entire 59 minutes, no one can honestly say that Kevin King should have been flagged for that hold. Aaron Rodgers should have been getting the ball back, down 5 points, with 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the clock and one timeout. That is the situation that the Packers were supposed to be in. The penalty was called. Yeah, you can't leave it up to the refs, and that's the way it goes sometimes. Happened to the Saints just a few years ago. But really, the Packers should have had the ball down 5, a minute 30 left with one timeout. And if that happened, regardless of if the Packers went down and scored the touchdown and won the game, I am under the assumption they would have. I mean, who's more dangerous with a minute, 30 seconds, one timeout than Aaron Rodgers? I don't think anyone is. But if that were to have happened, Matt LaFleur would be praised for his decision. He'd be considered a mastermind for kicking that field goal, and he'd be just praised for trusting his defense. So I really do not believe the decision to kick that field goal instead of go for it on 4th and goal was the deciding factor in that game. The game was truly lost due to the Packers losing their offensive identity. They got away from the run. They failed to protect Aaron Rodgers, and they didn't capitalize on turnovers or in the red zone. Everything that they did better than anyone else in the entire NFL all season long, they ended up not bringing. The Packers threw the ball 6 times and punted twice on their 2 drives following the Jair Alexander interceptions. Any points on those drives, 3 or 7, would have given the Packers the lead. 2 touchdowns would have basically been the ball game. The Buccaneers sacked Aaron Rodgers 5 times. Shaq Barrett had 3 sacks for himself. He absolutely destroyed Rick Wagner the entirety of the game. David Bakhtiari's injury really did show itself in this game. The tackles had a tough time. Billy Turner and Rick Wagner were just overwhelmed with Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett. The Packers finished 2 of 4, scoring touchdowns in the red zone. They kicked field goals on 2 of those situations, and that really hurt the Green Bay Packers. Just 1 touchdown, either in the first half when they failed to convert in the red zone, or in the second half, would have really swayed the momentum in the Packers' favor. And they scored just 7 points off their turnovers. They picked Tom Brady off on 3 straight drives. They had 3 opportunities to go down the field and score, and they only successfully converted 1 of them. The other 2, they ended up punting and not only burned no time off the clock, but got nothing going offensively. Totally got away from the run. And on top of these just mental lapses and poor execution in these core statistical topics such as pass protection and run pass percentage and all this stuff, the Packers just totally got out of their rhythm and they totally got away from what got them there. But on top of that, there were a handful of individual bad plays and mistakes that occurred throughout the entirety of the game by both the usual offenders, guys like Equiminius St. Brown, Ty Summers, Kevin King, and also by some of the Packers superstars, All-Pro and Pro Bowl caliber players. There were just a handful of moments in the game that have been just replaying in my brain nonstop over and over again. I'm having trouble sleeping at night because there's just a bunch of plays just driving me crazy. Plays that, if they were made or just simply never happened, it would have directly impacted the result of the game. The play that sticks in my brain, obviously, the most and just drives me crazy is what happened at the end of the first half. Mike Pettin and his inexplicable play calling and Kevin King's just blatant unawareness to the game time situation. There was 6 seconds left in the half. All the Packers had to do was defend the sideline and not allow a throw over the top for a touchdown. Mike Pettin he called man coverage a press man with a single high or some variant of a three zone, but Kevin King was all alone. He was just covering Scott Miller. He was jamming him at the line. He didn't even have outside leverage. He was jamming him on the inside, and Miller was able to get behind him and score the touchdown. It's just maddening. And it's so frustrating because for the first 10 weeks of the NFL season, Mike Pettin practically ran a prevent zone as the Packers' base defense. For the first 10 weeks, I was on this show just begging for some press man and some blitz and just different, more aggressive looks from the Packers defense. And in a time where a fifth grader who plays Madden occasionally knows you need to play man coverage and just prevent a touchdown, Mike Pettin jams him at the line and has single man coverage. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And it just can't happen. It's mind-numbing. That play, I've watched it about 70 times. It's replayed in my brain another 70. It just makes no sense. Another play that just I can't seem to shake out of my head happened just a few plays before that Scotty Miller touchdown to end the half. When Will Redmond failed to haul in that interception, Preston Smith got pressure on Tom Brady. Tom floated one up in the air on the sideline, totally overthrew his man, and the ball simply fell straight through Will Redmond's hands. If he were to have intercepted that pass, it not only would have obviously prevented that last-second touchdown, but it would have changed the entire course of the game, and who knows the Packers' Super Bowl chances once they got there. A big play like a touchdown from a reserve player like that of Will Redmond is exactly what is needed in championship games and in championship runs. Look no further than the Packers' Super Bowl in 2010 when Jared Bush had the interception in the Super Bowl, picked off Big Ben. Special teams guru Jared Bush made a huge splash play when the Packers needed it most. And that's exactly what this play by Will Redmond would have been. It would have been a complete game changer. It would have prevented that touchdown at the end of the half, regained momentum after Aaron Rodgers threw that interception, and it really would have just been a game-changing play. But no, the ball falls right through his hands, and it sets up an opportunity for the Buccaneers to have a reserve player like Will Redmond make an impact play on the game. Scotty Miller. Again, who the hell's bells on wheels is Scotty Miller? I don't know, but big play set up by yet another play, Will Redmond. Just a missed opportunity there. Another play in the game that would have changed the entire course of the second half was when Equiminius St. Brown dropped that 2-point conversion. I believe it is safe to say Equiminius St. Brown ended his Packer career with a dropped 2-point conversion It completely halted the momentum right in its tracks that the Packers were building. They just scored their second touchdown of the second half, right following the heels of that Adrian Amos interception. They cut the lead from 18 to 5, and that two-point conversion would have put the Packers down only 3 points. But as we've seen time and time again over Equiminia's St. Brown time with the Green Bay Packers over the past 3-4 years, he drops passes that hit him directly in the hands. And he did it again under the biggest lights when the Packers needed it most in what would have been, again, a play by a secondary player, not a big-name player, who would have made an impact game-changing play. And the rest of the game would have been completely different. Instead of being down 5 on those 2 drives and needing a touchdown to get ahead in the game, the Packers would have been able to just have 3 on their mind to tie, and who knows? Everything just could have been completely different. On top of those plays, there were also some plays that were made by our studs, the Packers' blue chip players. They're all pros, they're Pro Bowlers. There was some tough plays made by guys who usually come up big. Davante Adams obviously dropped the touchdown in the first half on that routine 1-yard flat route in the end zone. He did also fail to get his feet in bounds just 2 plays later. He had trouble getting open for the most part all night long. He did catch that touchdown in the second half, but the Buccaneers were doing a good job of taking him out of it. And those 2 plays in the first half in the red zone were just so bizarre. They were such uncommon occurrences for Davante Adams. And yeah, they're ones he's obviously going to be thinking about for a long time. He's a true competitor. He's as competitive as they come. And I'm sure he's bummed. You could see it on his face. He showed frustration thereafter. And those were just plays that he simply needed to make. He makes 9 out of 10 times, and they were backbreaking. They really were backbreaking. And in games like these NFC Championship games that the Packers find themselves in so often, star players need to produce. They need to make plays. And unfortunately, Davante Adams was unable to come up with a couple of plays that are usually gimmies for him, and plays that really would have helped the Packers in changing the outcome of this game. And another star player who just had a really poor game was Aaron Jones. Unfortunately, Aaron Jones had simply his worst game of his career. He only ran the ball 6 times for 27 total yards. He fumbled on the 3rd play of the second half to start the second half. He fumbled the ball. It was devastating to watch. Not only was it the worst possible way for the Green Bay Packers to start the second half, but he got hurt. He got hurt on the play, and unfortunately, as hard as it is to say, that was most likely Aaron Jones' final play of his Green Bay Packers career. The fumble, which led to a touchdown on the very next play, put the Packers in a deep hole down 18, and it was a hole that deemed to be insurmountable. They gave it their best. They almost did it, but it was an insurmountable hole nonetheless. And yeah, the fumble was a huge faux pas by Aaron Jones. And I understand that fans are angry. I really do. But I do believe people need to give Aaron Jones a break. They need to quit going after him on social media for the poor performance. He really was buried last night on the internet. And I do think it's unfair. Yeah, it was a bad game for him. It was a bad play for him. And yeah, it probably was his last play. But instead of hating on the man, I do believe all of us need to thank Aaron Jones for leaving it out there every single week. The man exemplifies what it means to be a Green Bay Packer. And if that was, in fact, his final play as a Green Bay Packer sporting the green and gold, he should be remembered for the countless great moments that he provided us, not simply that final play, as devastating as it was. I do believe we need to thank Aaron Jones and really appreciate the amazing play we've had at running back over the past 3 seasons with him. Because ultimately the Green Bay Packers beat themselves. It was not any of these plays in particular. It certainly was not LaFleur opting to kick that field goal. The Green Bay Packers just made mistakes that got them into an early hole, and they failed to execute and take the lead, despite having numerous chances to do so. And that's what ultimately caused them to come up short in this game. They failed to capitalize on the many opportunities that they were afforded by the defense rising to the occasion. It was a bad first half. They got behind the 8 ball. And unlike other years in the past, they were able to come back, fight back, and they had a shot to win it there at the end. And if it wasn't for these plays that I outlined for you, there were a bunch of other ones. I believe there were 18 to 20 plays, in fact, that were worthy of forcing you to pull your hair out. But the plays I just touched on and just the opportunities that were missed when Tom Brady was intercepted 3 consecutive times, it just prevented the Packers from having what could have been the most epic comeback in NFC Championship game history. This Packers team was a special, special group of guys. It was one that seemed primed and ready to make it back to the Super Bowl and finally deliver us Packer fans the Lombardi Trophy after 10 long years. But Packer Nation has been left once again devastated and disheartened. Just 1 game shy of the Super Bowl. And really the only difference between the feelings that I'm having this year compared to the feelings I had in 2016, 14, and last year is the overall uncertainty of how next season is really going to go. Because there are really so many question marks surrounding the Green Bay Packers going into the 2021 season. They have major decisions to make on pending free agents on their roster. They're in a tough situation with the salary cap due to COVID-19. And several important players will most likely be playing in other uniforms next season for other teams. And the Green Bay Packers can look very different next year. Aaron Rodgers touched upon it in his post-game presser on Sunday night. And what he said had the entire sports media world talking, and it had us Packer fans stressed out beyond belief. What is truly in store for the Green Bay Packers this offseason? Find out after this short break. We'll be right back. It's the Weekly Cheese, 90.3 WESS, East Stroudsburg University. Don't go anywhere.
Once a Packer, always a Packer. Like Shakur, call me Tupac. I'm green and yellow.
Green Bay, it gets scary. Halloween day, scream face. Bloody Mary, secondary, Jordan, mean face. A-Rod got 'em all side, free play. That's a cheesecake, on a hot plate. Hail Mary, yeah, Aaron to Devontae. Green boogers, yellow as canaries, Eliante. Got me shining great. I just hit you boys with the Rodgers rate. Came up with the pack, I done well with the pack. Aaron Rodgers in the trap, I got 12 on my back. Got me rolling out the pocket, by Tiara blocking. Throw it past the tie-in, simple math and science. Pack 'em up, I know Preston Smith gon' tackle 'em. I know Darius Smith gon' back 'em up. And you know Darnell is savage, bro. Got Mason Crowds, but the kick is good. Green and yellow, we sticking to it. Super Bowl goals, shooting for the stars, maybe trigger pull. Blah! You know what it be. Cheese said Alicia Keys, I'm going Swiss cheese, big G's.
Ballin' hard like Big Meech, Big League. Super Bowl champ, big rings, big bling. Lombardi trophy, yeah, Vince team. Shining like a Bart star, number 15 in green. Bomb fresher than some mint green, Listerine. About to mess around in history, drippery. Green Bay chains, whistle clean, it's a scene. Like Paul Hunting, I got 5 on it, yeah, yeah. I'm Green Bay every day. If you ain't know the find out. Green and yellow, every up, we on go, non-stop. Freezing weather, get the shovel, clear the snow. Hot spot, Lambo, feel for sure. Hall of Fame, number 4, legendary, just like Eric. MVP, run up the scope, get a ball to Aaron Jones, let him run it down his throat. Touchdown, glasses on, Lambo leaving the front row. I'm screaming 9 and 2, and that's for life. That's for Reverend Reggie White, rest in paradise. Coach Carter, boy, I'm feeling like Matt tonight. I feel like number 55, you're getting sacked tonight. Whew, yeah, boy, we about to be a type of hype. And whoever play the Packers, hope you packing light. You flying back tonight, taxing light. Yeah, all my Packers ready. Green and yellow, green and yellow, green and yellow, green and yellow. Yeah, call me Packer Valley. Green and yellow, green and yellow, green and yellow, green and yellow. Yeah, what color that confetti? Green and yellow, green and yellow, green and yellow, green and yellow. Yeah, we going all the way to Tampa yelling. Green and yellow, green and yellow, green and yellow, green and yellow. Yeah, all my Packers ready. Ooh, you try to count us out, check your mathematics. Yeah, what color that confetti? Green and yellow, green and yellow. Call me Packer Valley. You know what it be. I'm a cheesehead, Alicia Keys. I'm going Swiss cheese, big G's. Ballin' hard like Big Meech, Big League. Super Bowl champs, big rings, big bling. Lombardi trophy, yeah, Vince team. Shining like a Bart star, number 15 in green. Born fresher than some mint green, Listerine. About to mess around, make history. Packer Valley. Once a Packer, always a Packer. Like Shakur, call me Tupac. I'm green and yellow. I'm green and yellow. I'm green and yellow.
And we're back. It's the Weekly Cheese 90.3. And what you just heard there was the brand new Green and Yellow, the Packers theme song by no one else other than Lil Wayne. His second Green and Yellow song, did release the original one back in 2010. And yeah, that's the Packers theme song from now on. I hope you guys like it. But yeah, let's get into what's next for the Green Bay Packers. So after the game, Aaron Rodgers spoke on how the futures of so many players on this Green Bay Packers team are total question marks right now, even himself. And this remark started just a boatload of rumors and chatter about him potentially going to force a trade. All day Monday, there was nonstop discussion about where Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing next year. I know initially when I heard Aaron Rodgers' post-game press conference, not going to lie, it kind of did seem like he was hinting at something along those lines. I tried to talk myself out of that quickly and just wanted to understand and realize that he's coming off of a NFC Championship game defeat, and he's heartbroken, and anything he was asked right there not about that specifically is just going to rub him the wrong way. And I totally understand where he was coming from with his remark. And obviously it's smart to just ignore the trade rumors. He did come on the Pat McAfee show today, and he basically stated that everything that was being said over the last 24 hours about the situation is complete and utter hogwash. His exact quote is, there is no reason why I wouldn't be back next year. And he totally put the kibosh on all the trade talk, at least for the time being. But I think it's important to remember, as Packer Nation, to just ignore everything you hear said on ESPN, on NFL Network, anywhere. Because ultimately, no one truly knows what's going to be going on with the Green Bay Packers. And Aaron Rodgers ultimately was just touching on the fact that in the NFL, no one has control over their future. And the only thing that he can control personally is the way he plays. And obviously, he played lights out this season. He is the NFL MVP, and he's going to be back in Green Bay next season. Rest assured. But what he did say did hold some truth. There are many guys up for new contracts now that the season's over, and the future of this team's personnel is very foggy. Now, it is very unclear what the Packers are going to look like next season. Corey Linsley is up for contract, Pro Bowl center. Aaron Jones is up for contract. Jamal Williams is up for contract. Kevin King, Mercedes Lewis, and Tyler Ervin, they're all free agents. The Packers already signed 2 long-term deals recently with the David Bakhtiari and Kenny Clark's contract extensions. And there is very little cap room left for the Green Bay Packers to work with because of it, especially given the very high chance that the salary cap is reduced league-wide next year due to COVID-19. Right now, it's being rumored that the salary cap's going to be down to $175 million next season, which would put the Packers roughly $26 million over the cap as of right now. And with that being the case, that can only mean major changes are coming. That these changes not only include losing guys like Aaron Jones, Corey Linsley, and Kevin King in free agency, not even to mention Mercedes Lewis and Tyler Ervin. I think it's safe to say both of those guys aren't going to be back. But I'm expecting Kevin King to be gone, Aaron Jones to be gone. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Corey Linsley. He is still playing great, despite the DeForest Buckner syndrome that I like joking about from time to time. Corey Linsley still playing at an all-pro level. It would be nice to get him back, but with the way Elton Jenkins was being plugged in at various spots along the line and at center this season, who knows what's going to happen with the Corey Linsley contract. I also do believe there's the potential that the Packers cut guys like Preston Smith, Dean Lowry, and obviously I don't believe Equiminius St. Brown will be back next season, but there may be a chance that a guy like Marquez Valdez-Scantling gets cut. I was looking into it before, and cutting MVS does save the Green Bay Packers about $3 million in cap space next year. Dean Lowry's due to get 8. Preston Smith would free up an additional 6. It's all very unknown. Free agency this year is going to be crazy, with every other team in the NFL experiencing the same cap hardships. And I am sure that Goot's going to want to make a move in free agency. I mean, there's a chance Christian Kirksey doesn't finish out his contract. His production was very, very minimal this season. He was getting out-snapped by Ty Summers in the NFC Championship game, for goodness sake. I mean, he's due to collect nearly $8 million himself. There's just a lot of moving pieces that are going on right now within the Green Bay Packers organization. And interestingly enough, despite the trade rumors going on surrounding Aaron Rodgers just on Monday, today we woke up to some rumblings in the NFL sphere that Aaron Rodgers is looking to discuss a potential contract extension. And I believe the leak was he has a list of demands to go along with the contract extension. There have been no details regarding any of these demands. I'm not even sure what the validity of the leak is, but Aaron Rodgers did touch on it very briefly today on the McAfee Show, that he is planning to have his standard departure meetings with everyone, and discussions are going to be had. And hopefully, in my opinion, what would be an ideal situation, the Green Bay Packers could very well go all in on Aaron Rodgers, sign him to an extension. I mean, he's the MVP after all. and move forward with a understanding with Aaron Rodgers that they're going to do everything they need to do right now to get him that second ring and get back to the Super Bowl and bring a Lombardi trophy back to Green Bay. If the Packers were able to get Aaron Rodgers extended before next season, not only would it be music to my ears and make me happy, but it would free up some cap space for the Green Bay Packers over the next couple of years. It would, in the immediate future, free up cap space for the Green Bay Packers by restructuring his deal, pushing the money that he is due this upcoming year back. It could free up some space for the Packers to do something in free agency this year. Yeah, at the end of that extension, the Packers would be in a situation that the Saints find themselves in now, with Drew Brees on the fritz and $90 million over cap and a total rebuild on their hands. But if you ask me, that is what the Green Bay Packers should do. I know there's a bunch of older fans out there who believe in the Packers' method of building for the future, but it is Aaron Rodgers. He is coming off of an all-time great season, and if we're up to this Packer fan right here, he will end his career a Green Bay Packer. The cap situation makes it rough, but the Packers can be aggressive if they choose to be, and they can restructure the deal and push money back to the future. It is a possibility. But ultimately, none of us know what's in store for the Green Bay Packers this upcoming season. There's a long off season ahead of us. And like it or not, trust the man or not, we have no fans as the Packer Nation to rely on Brian Gutekunst to make the right decisions. Right now, every NFL general manager is in a tough situation, and it's fair to say that next season, the NFL is going to look very different because of the cap situation that all these teams are facing. It's rumored by, what's the guy's name? Adam Schefter, that there's 17 potential quarterbacks on the market. The list was 18, but he had Aaron Rodgers on there. It was published yesterday. But 17 quarterbacks that could be potentially moving cities, and the league's just going to look completely different. The new season begins in March, and the decisions made between now and by the time training camp begins in the summer and after the draft will have a direct impact on the short and long-term future of our beloved Green Bay Packers. And I'm interested to see what's going to happen next. I would like to thank you all for listening to the Weekly Cheese, not just tonight, but over the past season. It's been awesome to be able to just have this platform and cover the Green Bay Packers. It was my first year covering the Green Bay Packers. Officially, that is. I've been following them loyally since the beginning of my existence, but this year was my first year covering them for real, and it's going to be a season that I look back with nothing but fond memories. Yeah, the sour taste is going to have to get out of my mouth. It did not end the way I'm sure we all hoped it would, but the Packers had another good season. They got to another NFC Championship game. Rodgers got his third MVP award, and hopefully he did enough to open the organization's eyes, and who knows, maybe from here on out the Green Bay Packers will do what it takes to get back to that Super Bowl and go all in with Aaron right now. Make sure to give me a follow on YouTube, on the old YouTube page at The Weekly Cheese. That's where I'll be posting my off-season coverage. And yeah, thanks for coming along this crazy 2020 NFL Packers season with me. It means a lot. I hope you all enjoyed listening. This has been The Weekly Cheese. My name is Joe Ivan. And as always, The cheese stands alone. Going to send it over right back to the BBC. Thank you all for listening. And until next time, the cheese stands alone. Have a great night, everyone. Be safe.